talking to you on adaptive optics and uveitis. Yesterday, Dr. Chaitra spoke to us about the basics and the clinical applications and limitations of adaptive optics. So straight away, I'll go to what the literature says on adaptive optics and uveitis, and I'll be sharing a clinical experience. Adaptive optics is a non-invasive imaging of the retina at the microscopic level with a lateral resolution of 2 micrometer that compensates for the optical aberrations of the eye. It uses the astronomical principle, and I'll be sharing my experience using the RTX1 machine from the Imagine Eyes. So with the adaptive optics, we can study the cone mosaic pattern, and also we can do the cone cell counting and study the optic nerve head with the laminar cribrosa. And in the blood vessels, we can see the lumen, the wall to lumen ratio of the retinal vessels, and RPE. These are the 4 structures we can do with adaptive optics. Herrera et al. Have reported the vascular sheathing pattern in a presumed ocular tuberculosis and Lyme disease using adaptive optics, where we could see the sheathing of the vessels in the retina. Agarwal et al. Subsequently reported the adaptive optics imaging of the retinal photoreceptors overlaying the white dot syndrome, and they have correlated the functions with microperimetry. Outcome of autoimmune retinopathy patients treated with rituximab also studied with adaptive optics, where they demonstrated the decreased cone cell count. There was retinal thickening and the photoreceptor loss in HIV infected individuals without obvious retinitis. In APM PPE, adaptive optics have been studied in Sapagute and healed cases. The major limitations of adaptive optics is in active inflammation. When there is a significant vitritis or the retinal edema, we are not able to visualize the photoreceptors clearly. Where they have done it in 1 month, where you can see the hyperreflective lesion in the choroid, and at the 3 month we could see this decreasing the areas of the hyperreflectivity of the cone area. Here is a healed scar. The adaptive optics shows thickened hyperreflective OCT shows thickened hyperreflective material of the RPE, with corresponding adaptive optics shows hyperreflectivity with lot of loss of photoreceptors in that region. In VKH disease, Japanese group have studied where they demonstrated the progressive increasing the cone cell count. When there is a retinal edema, we are not able to visualize. When the resolution, they are able to visualize the photoreceptors, and they demonstrated the recovery of the macular cone photoreceptors in a case of a VKH disease. And we can do a multiple images, and we can use the STITCH software to get the panoramic view of the AVO imaging. Multifocal choroiditis with acute outer retinal atrophy have demonstrated even after treatment there was decreased cone cell count was persisting in these cases. Where we have used 4x4 fundus area, and 40 fundus images were obtained, and we have used ImageJ software to analyze our cases. Here we see a case example. You can see a tiny multifocal retinitis in this case, and here you can see here again the case of retinitis. Let's see what adaptive optics gives us. This is the different cone cell count and the pattern we are seeing. Here is a case of a retinitis secondary to toxoplasmosis. The adaptive optics shows cellular infiltration with retinal thickening, which is similar to what histopathologically the tachyzoids are seen. Following treatment with antitoxo treatment, we could see the resolution of this inflammation, and this is a cyst-like structure which is similar to bradyzoids what's seen in toxoplasmosis cyst. So based on this, we can appreciate the pathology, what's happening. Here is a case of a multifocal retinitis secondary to Behçet's disease. See the multiple tiny infiltrates in the retina on adaptive optics correlating well with the histopathological picture of the polymorphonuclear infiltrates in the eye. Here is a case of a rickettsial retinitis where we could see the active vasculitis is there, and the retinitis and polymorphonuclear infiltrates on the retina are able to appreciate using the adaptive optics. Here is a case of a young male, multifocal serpiginoid choroiditis due to tuberculosis, where the right eye is healed, the left eye has active lesions. Following treatment with anti-TB and systemic steroids, the patient showed there was a progressive worsening due to paradoxical worsening of inflammation. This was adequately controlled with anti-inflammatory therapy. On follow-up, complete resolution of the lesions, the patient's visual acuity is 6/6 and N6, but the patient is unhappy with the vision and was complaining of the decreased contrast and not comfortable. So when we put the patient on adaptive optics, we could see the decreased cone cell count. This is about 10,000 and odd in the right eye. Age match control is about 24,000. In the left eye also it's decreased to 16,000. So next we will move on to cone cell count in HCQ toxicity. We have done the study with age match control, and in this fundus shows pigmentary changes. The OCT appearance is almost normal. Autofluorescence is normal. Patient had a visual field defect, and the cone cell count was also decreased in both eyes. So this is HCQ therapy patients, and with the control group where we noticed there is a significant decrease in the cone cell count. There is, in addition to decreased cone cell density, there was increased cone spacing compared to the age match normals. Next, we'll move on to adaptive optics, studying the retinal vasculitis. Here is a 15-year male of Behçet's disease with posterior uveitis, where the fundus, you are not able to appreciate any sheathing. The FFA is also normal, but on adaptive optics, we could see the parallel pattern of sheathing. Following treatment with systemic steroids and systemic immunosuppressive therapy, we could see the decreasing in the vascular sheathing pattern. Next case is a 29-year male of idiopathic retinal vasculitis showing sheathing of the vein. On fundus photograph, and FFA shows perivascular staining. Here we could see the classical perivascular cuffing. Following treatment, there is a complete resolution of this pattern. The next case is a granulomatosis with polyangiitis showing sheathing of the artery, and FFA shows perivascular leak, and we can see the classical parallel pattern of sheathing which completely disappears following treatment. Here is a case of an SLE, shows a perivascular sheathing both on clinical examinations and FFA. Adaptive optics showing decreasing the size of the sheathing with epiretinal membrane. Next case is a case of a Takayasu ioto-arthritis, where the fundus photograph and the FFA is normal, but the patient shows sheathing pattern on adaptive optics which disappears completely following treatment. So we identified a parallel and pipe stem pattern of sheathing in our cases, and here it taken the case of tuberculous retinal vasculitis showing sheathing and adaptive optics. To conclude, AVO imaging can be used as an additional investigational tool in the diagnosis and management of uveitis. In addition to studying the photoreceptors and calculating the cone cell count and spacing, we can see the perivascular sheathing pattern in uveitic cases. I would like to acknowledge the team members and thank you for your attention.